Hey everyone, welcome back to my second part of my road to 80 million. On today's episode, I guess you could call it, today's video, I am happy to announce that I have quite, not dramatically, but quite steadily improved my score since last time. And I think I put together a run I'm much more proud of and much more excited to watch back. So already here in stage 1, I think I nail all the chains that I know. I think I finally follow through with the things I'm pretty sure I dropped last time, the last chain. So I remember when I first started playing this game and learning the chains, there's this transition where you go from the tanks onto that mid-boss. And for some reason, I feel like the timer slows down or something because it doesn't make sense to me that you're able to nail that transition, but I don't know, it just looks really cool when you do it, I guess what I'm getting at. So my last run I didn't get the 56, I got 34. Not a huge difference to be honest, but it's a nice way to start the run. And another thing I experimented with more in this run is milking the bosses for some points, which I did not do in my previous run. I just killed them as quick as possible. Now, I felt a little bit divided about going about the strategy because even though it is clearly superior score-wise, what you don't know is that this was like my 15th attempt of the night, trying to put together this run. So I've been playing for probably 2 or 3 hours. And it gets really tedious redoing the first stage over and over and over, and then milking that boss over and over and over just for a little extra points. So depending on my mood, I either milked him a little bit or didn't. That one I did kind of a little bit. Normally if you don't, I get about 43. That time I got 63, I think. So this stage 2 is cursed for me. I call it cursed because these days, I have a lot of difficulty full chaining it, but the funny part is that it's not a situation where I keep dropping it in one part and I just need to work on that one part. It's that there's basically 3 or 4 parts that I end up dropping the chain, and it's kind of random which one of the 4 I drop it at, it feels like. So no, sadly I did not full chain this stage, but as you can see I hit the link I missed last time, nailed it, and I was feeling very confident that I'd be able to full chain at this point. Because for me this is the easiest part of the chain right here. Not this part, but after the tank transition. So right here, just shoot slow. Slow, yeah, I was confident. And then bam, what the hell? I don't know. I was a little too fast, obviously, but still. Even now, I wonder how I dropped that chain. I guess it was literally 1 second before the helicopter was supposed to show up. But I was able to get enough to make the loop, so I decided to roll with it. Like I said, this is becoming a theme for all my high scoring runs where the start isn't really that ideal, and so in my mind I mentally kind of drop all expectations and just play, and I kind of just let myself loosen up a little bit. So I guess maybe that's a lesson to learn, is when you're going for high scoring runs, even if you go for you get a shaky start every now and again, keep playing, because if you don't want to get stuck in like a reset syndrome, that's what I call it, where you play the first stage like 9 times in a row, you get to the second stage and you make some small mistake and your perfectionism is like, no, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it right or whatever. But then you just get frustrated because you spend 3 days playing the first 2 stages. So I think it's good to do that every now and again, but also make yourself do the full runs, not just to get score, but also to practice the later parts of the game, right? So maybe that's a little bit of advice. I'm not a high level player or anything, but I think that could help some people. Oh, and I completely rambled on during that boss fight. Yes, I milked the boss for more hits than I did last time, quite a bit more. And that actually boosted my score pretty considerably. So that's something I'll do from now on. Yeah, and in case you didn't see my first video in this series, I decided screw chaining stage 3, just forget it. I can find points elsewhere. Chaining the stage isn't very fun, and you don't rack up huge chains anyway, so I don't feel that guilty. Obviously, if I was going for some not even world class, but at least highly respectable scores, I would learn to chain all the stages, so being a little bit stubborn, I suppose. Survival-wise, this stage is interesting because I've played it so many times for survival and invested so many hours that in my mind I feel like I have basically figured out every second of this stage to survive and really shouldn't ever die on it. But this stage always has a wild card factor it can hit you with, where no matter how prepared you are, there are some times where it just hits you with something kind of random and you die. Stage 2 isn't like that, but stage 3 kind of has that factor. So when I first started watching, this was a long time ago, when I first was getting into shmups, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Prometheus's really impressive 400 million, I think it's even a little bit more than that, run of this game. So I was watching it, but I was watching it for survival strategies a long time ago rather than scoring, because I was just trying to get a clear of this game. And there was the needle part, and what he did in the needle part is he wouldn't kill the ships, he would just let them sit there and shoot bullets. And there was a while there where I thought, okay, I don't know what the hell he's doing, because it's a lot safer just to kill those ships. But now that I'm a little wiser, I realize the reason why he's letting the ships live, those needle ships, is because when you let them shoot a bunch of bullets and then kill the large ship and cancel the bullets, you get a crap load of points. So that's what he was doing. He was trying to get as many bullets on screen as possible. I just mentioned that story because it's funny how, depending on what you're trying to accomplish in the game, different strategies seem either really clever or really odd. So I think I don't know how everyone plays this level. I've watched a few replays here and there, but I've kind of get stuck on this is how I like to disassemble the enemy boss here, where you destroy the left cannon first, then the middles, which causes the right cannon to open, blow up the right cannon. And I know some people like to disable those 4 turrets at the top, probably to milk it for more hits, to be honest, but I find what happens to me is when I try and do that, I just end up killing 3 of them, and then if there's only one left, the little pink turrets, it goes into like a manic anger mode and starts shooting tons of bullets at you, which is actually a lot harder than just leaving the 4 ships up there. So what I usually do at this point is I just leave them alone and just try to focus on the main cannon and try to destroy the ship with them intact. That way I don't risk getting the one pissed off cannon, which can really put you in some awkward situations. So I think the first 4 stages of this run went very smoothly. I don't think I would have got the score I did had they not, because to be honest, I haven't practiced the second loop of this game very much at all. A little bit here and there, but not really consistently, not digging into it. So I'm pretty much freestyling and improvising during the second loop, which, as you'll see, gets me in some really awkward positions and stuff, but I was able to get so far in the second loop just because I tanked up and did so well in the first loop. So this was probably, without a doubt, the best first loop I've ever done of Dononpachi. So I'm excited to watch the replay. Now see, last time I didn't get this 122 hit combo. So so that is something I worked on, is basically getting at least that 122 every time. Really, this doesn't seem like a stage that's very hard to chain, so I think in order to get my 80 mil, I'm going to have to at least learn to chain the first half of the stage, or the second half. Maybe I won't be able to put the two halves together, but maybe do one half and then do another, get around 300, 400 each. What's funny is, just before this, I had a terrible run. I was playing like crap, but I did manage to rack up a 300 hit combo in this second half of the stage. So right now I am doing everything I can to try and emulate that combo, but I think it was just one of those situations where the stars aligned during a lot of those tricky links, and I ended up hitting them much more smoothly than intended. This is the hardest section of this level for sure. Oh, I forgot I had to bomb. Yeah, I got myself in a weird spot. But my mentality was, okay, I'm not going to have the maximum bonus that much longer anyway. Probably through the, first third of the 5th stage. So, better to bomb and try and get the no miss bonus rather than basically really risking my run and probably getting killed. So it was a little bit conservative for me to bomb there, but I don't regret it, to be honest. So here we go, boss 4. I think this boss is really fun just because of the glitch. Last time I was able to nail the glitch in the run, and I was really happy about that. Yeah, and I wasn't quite there. I don't know why I didn't have him fully damaged. But I recover and get the glitch. So apparently I was watching a replay done live of Stunfest from a Japanese player. Can't remember his name, and he actually did the glitch on the other side. Rather than the way I do it up on the right, he did it on the lower left side. I think the reason for it was you didn't get your hits interrupted, and so he probably ended up with more hits. But it looked more tricky to set up, and I practiced the right side one, so I've stuck with that instead. So when I've spoke with people about this game, everyone's mentioned to me that it does not have a rank system, which is probably true, but I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory. So that section you just saw where those needle guys appear, and I got kind of put in a weird spot by them. So if I end up dying somewhere in the first 4 stages, what I can do is I can aura in the middle of those needle guys and kill them from behind. And they will not shoot backwards, they will only shoot forwards. But in all the runs where I no miss to this point, they shoot backwards at me. So I do wonder if maybe there is some small ranking system in this game somewhere that maybe makes certain enemies shoot a little more aggressively. Because I swear it's every time. If I no miss, they'll shoot backwards. But if I get killed somewhere in the first 4 stages, they won't shoot backwards. So that's an interesting case, I think. It'd be interesting to experiment with to see if I can prove if that's true or not. So at this stage, I normally need at least 2 bombs, more likely 3, to get through this section. So I've sat here and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna die, but whatever. I'm just gonna try and go out in style for the video. Honestly, that's what I'm thinking. Like, there's no way I'm gonna make it through. I never do. So I'm just gonna try to play aggressive and stylish, so I at least look kind of cool in the replay. So I'm going for some I'm just ramming my ship in there, but the boldness paid off and I made it through. So here's the thing, this section too, sometimes I have to bomb, but I'm a little more confident. And I remember it was right about after killing these 2 ships right here, because sometimes that cannon gets me, I thought, okay, I might be able to clear the stage without dying, which would give me an extra big fat no miss bonus, because the no miss bonus increases for every stage you do it consecutively. So I was like, wow, I could really get some points here. The only problem is the boss. I normally need at least one bomb to clear the boss, and I'll explain why. But funnily enough, the day before this, I was just screwing around and thinking, okay, what if I come into this boss without a bomb? I need to come up with some kind of strategy for beating him, just in case. And rather than being a proper shmup player and learning, you know, the intended way, or the more, I guess, consistent way of killing him without a bomb, I came up with my own really wonky setup here, and here it is. And it worked. There we go, because normally, if you watch the Prometheus replay, he hangs back. He doesn't try and ram himself up in this cradle during the pattern, but I didn't want to learn how to dodge the pattern a different way, so I came up with that weird strategy of ordering those pink bullets as they come out, and then trying to dodge them as I dodged the pattern and get in the cradle, and it worked out, and I was feeling pretty cool at this point. So here's stage 6. Now in my last run, I played scared, I played shitty, and I basically bombed a lot. And when I sat down and commentated it, I actually felt pretty self-conscious about that. I was like thinking, people are going to think I'm a complete noob at this game because I'm just bombing my way through stage 6. And so I guess one thing I can say is that as far as high-level play goes, I don't know, but as far as the kind of play level I'm at, I do think it's beneficial to watch your replays back and maybe even commentate and make a video on them, because you do take your play a lot more seriously when you know the public's going to be viewing it. Because before, I probably would have been like, oh, whatever, I bombed through stage 6, doesn't matter. But when you know people are watching, or at least 8 people are watching, you're like, well, I don't want these 8 people to think I'm a total noob, so I'm gonna, even if I, end up having to do 5 runs extra, I want to at least look competent in stage 6. So that's what I'm doing here. I got no bombs, and I'm just playing balls out. I'm just letting it rock, I guess. And I'm actually pretty proud of how well I made it through this stage. It wasn't perfect, but I think I'm a lot more proud to watch this replay than the first one. And if it's not obvious yet, I don't really know the chaining for this stage very well. I'm just lasering and killing things as quickly as possible. So I died there, but that's a really tough part of the level, no matter how you slice it, so I wasn't too surprised, and I was alright with it. Now, right here, I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to bomb spam through this too much, because it might be possible for me to kill the boss with the bombs I have. I've been practicing even more than before and have gotten pretty consistent. So I didn't want to die, and I didn't want to bomb spam too much. And as I say that, I kind of bomb spam a little, but that's a tough section, and I've got 4 extends. No need to really risk it. So I actually was thinking that I was actually preferring coming into the boss with just 1 bomb, because if I had 4 or 5, I would be tempted to just bomb the boss whenever in trouble, but since I only had 1, I realized, okay, I gotta play this fight straight up like I practiced. And that kind of helped me mentally, to be honest. I actually tend to play a lot worse when I have bombs in stock. When I don't, I feel more free, and I feel more like I can take risks, and I play better. And when I have bombs in stock, I feel like, oh crap, I don't want to waste these bombs, so I'm playing a lot more conservatively. That last pattern, I don't have any shame in bombing during it, because I usually do bomb in that pattern. It's kind of 50-50 whether I do or don't. So I made it through that one. The last 2 runs that killed me, made it through. And then this pattern, what a bitch this pattern is. But now I'm feeling cool. It's like, okay, I know I'm gonna get killed by the last pattern, because no matter how many times I practice it, I can't go through the whole pattern without getting hit. I'm just not that good at this point. But I put up a respectable amount of damage, and 2 bombs later, he's done. And I felt pretty happy about that. And I got a pretty respectable hit counter on the boss. So here we go, second loop. So during my first run, I remember being a little annoyed to have to sit through this whole sequence here and listen to him ramble on and everything. But in the second run, because I did so well, my heart was pounding. I was so nervous because I was thinking, okay, I actually have put up a decent score here. I do not want to blow this. I do not want to just flame out in stage 2 of the loop, you know? So I actually enjoyed this little break because I was quite literally calming my nerves and like doing some deep breathing and like focusing. And that does help me. I don't know if it helps some people, but it does help me, like just taking a moment to gather myself before the stage really helps. So I know the English in this game is pretty legendary, and sometimes I think about it from the perspective of the person doing the translation. And here's this one here. It says fierce fire and I and E are reversed. Now to an English speaker that looks pretty stupid, but if you really think about it from a non-English speaking perspective, F-I-R-E doesn't make much sense. F-I-E-R almost makes more sense if you speak different languages. So what I'm saying is I can forgive it. The F-I-R-E spelling mistake, I can forgive it. So here I was a little divided and it ends up costing me. Right there, bam. Why? Because I was thinking, well, maybe I should try and chain this level. I've done it before, and you know, I'll just, you know, have my cake and eat it too. But then after I get that kill, after I get that death, it's kind of a wake-up call, like, no, I haven't really practiced this. I need to just speed kill everything. Yes, my points won't be as good, but I mean, it's still better than not making it through the stage, right? I hated that I missed this. So the way to get through that mid-boss without bombing is if you just line yourself up correctly, he'll just create a gap in his pattern. That's really easy. But I was a little bit off in the way I lined up, and there was no gap, so I had to bomb. Yeah, so right here I was like, no, screw all that chaining. I'm not ready. Had to acknowledge my limitations a little bit. I do not like this boss. He's just so boring. Really, he's not that bad of a boss, but it's just because I fight him 1,000 times every time I go for runs. I just get sick of him. Other than that, though, he actually is a good boss. Kind of teaches the players a little bit about dodging more erratic bullet patterns and things like that. That was interesting how the bomb caused his shell to explode. That's never happened to me before. But I held it together. So here, I remember in the first vid I get murdered because I try to run this like I chain it. And I learned the hard way that I wasn't quite prepared for that. So this time I decided just try and kill everything quickly. And try not to bomb spam too much. And I do have some close calls, but I pull it together. I was hoping that would continue to combo. It didn't. Sometimes if you time it right, you can continue to combo after a super bomb, after a super laser, whatever you'd call that. Other times though, if you're not just right, you won't. So I played pretty pretty aggressively there and made some dodges. A lot of these dodges are improvised, by the way, because I don't really know these stages very well. I know their loop 1 forms, but not their loop 2 forms, so I end up getting caught by some surprises like that right there. So I remember thinking at this point, okay, this isn't going as well as I was hoping, because if you remember, I started this with I think 3 lives, and I'm just down to 1 in the second stage. But I didn't give up hope, because I remembered there is the extend in stage 3. You can still get that. Just make it to the extend. That was in my head right now. I mentioned this last time, but what's kind of funny and ironic is my crappy killing strategy that I used to use for survival, where I'd bomb it before it shoots its final pattern, usually tends to pay off in the second loop. Right now I just go up, bomb. There we go. Obviously that isn't ideal, but if you're just trying to survive, it's a good use of a bomb, I think. Sadly, no miss bonus there. Stage 3 in the second loop actually isn't as hard as I expected it to be. I mean, it has some weird parts where I need to go back to the drawing board on how I'm going to get through them, but for the most part it's not too drastic of a change. There is one exception, of course, which I'll point out too. Like right here, the same strategy I use in loop 1 totally works in loop 2. Where you just go to the top right corner of this. Okay, this mid-boss in loop 2 is a total pain in the butt compared to loop 1. It's kind of just, for me, I don't know if there's some high-level strategy to predicting where those things are going to go, but I just go a little bit, 45 degrees angled from it, and hope I don't get nailed. That's my strategy. It worked that time. In the first run it didn't work, and that's where it ended. Yeah, this section is really similar to the loop 1 version, which is kind of nice. The speed bullets, not so much. So I definitely wasn't going to be bold and try and let these guys live. Despite the point increase, I decided I need to try and stay alive. And I'll probably end up canceling a bunch of bullets anyway, just because, like right here, just because the enemies are spawning and shooting so fast. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how I've handled myself so far in stage 3. Now, it's a shame I killed that ship early, but I had a bomb, and I knew I'd probably have to use it at some point, so during that part, so this section you can still do the same strategies as in the first loop, but it's a lot tighter. So if you're not careful, you just get pwned like I did right there. This section is pretty much the same. The extra bullets really make no difference, except here. They get really aggro, so yeah. It's a bit ugly, this second loop, but it makes a lot more sense when you realize I hadn't really practiced the second loop that much. So I was curious how far I'd be able to get at this point. I got the extend, but stage 4 is a bit of uncharted territory. And this boss overall isn't too much of a difference, except with the gate pattern. The gate pattern is freaking evil in this second loop. I'll tell you what pattern I mean coming up. This one right here, the gate pattern. I don't know why I bombed, because I actually made it through the pattern, but I was nervous. That was the most unnecessary bomb I've ever done, but when you get nervous, the B button becomes your friend. Still though, this is all gravy. I made it to 60 million, I was happy. I was curious to see if I could push it, maybe a little, how far I could push it beyond 60. I doubted 80. 80 is still, the way I've been playing in the second loop, there's no way I was getting 80, but 70? Maybe if I play out of my mind, 70? When I first started playing the second loop, I thought stage 4 was going to be insane in the second loop. And I do make some pretty clutch dodges here. Look at some of these. Like this one right here. Boom. But it's actually not that bad, really. A lot of the strategies you use in loop 1 pretty directly apply to loop 2. You just have to be quicker and have your wits about you, but... Oi. I don't know why I sat in the middle of that. I should have moved to the left. Right, that. I wasn't willing to gamble it. I might have been able to get through that, but I wasn't willing to try. So you know what's funny is, the other day when I was testing the lag on this game, I was using the laser a little bit, and I found something out about it that I never noticed before. When you laser, the first frame or two, the top of your laser is actually a dragon head. I always just thought it was like a generic burst of fire, but no. Like when your laser just starts, if you look really carefully, it's a dragon head that disappears and becomes a generic form of fire later on. I thought that was a really cool touch though. Yeah, I bomb spam like no one's business at this point, but I'm just trying to get as much gravy as I can. And you do earn some points, rather than being dead where you earn no points, so... This was tricky. I can't believe I made it through, to be honest. I actually was just trying to grab the bomb the whole time. Okay. I think we all know where this is gonna end. I don't think there's much of a mystery, but... I had practiced a few times, and so there is a ray of hope that I could get the boss lock. It still works in loop 2. It's just way harder to get because of this bullcrap. But I had a brilliant idea that ended up biting me in the ass. That wasn't me being completely stupid though, because if I timed that better, you are actually able to just fly around the ship like that and avoid the pattern if you do that. Now, whether or not that's an ideal strategy is probably not, but it does work if you time it right, but I didn't. I was way too late, and so I got murdered. Still though, an excellent run for my standards, the best run I've ever done for sure. I was very happy to make it that far, and I don't think it's too shabby of a score. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I've definitely enjoyed watching and commentating. Have a good one.